Myself, Ramapadma, working as a professor in the Department of Demography at Indian Institute of Health and Family Welfare. I am going to talk on theories of fertility. Theories of fertility are broadly classified into four categories: biological theories of fertility, social and cultural theories of fertility, economic theories of fertility, and socio-economic theories of fertility. Under biological theories of fertility, there are four other principles and theories which have contributed to it. The first one is the density principle. The density principle was propounded by Michael Thomas Sadler. It was during 1730-1835. He has put forward the principle that fertility varies inversely with the density of population. That is, increasing density decreases fertility, but increases mortality, which in turn increases fertility. However, this theory has been largely criticized because it has been felt that this doesn't reconcile to any kind of logic. The second principle is the diet principle. In 1841, Thomas Doubleday propounded what he called the true law of population, which attempted to establish a relationship between population growth and the diet of the people. In 1952, George D. Castro, in his book Geography of Hunger, contended that deficiency of proteins make undernourished people more fertile than who are well nourished. This is also criticized. Neither the theory of Doubleday nor the Castro has been accepted by demographers, who maintain that fertility variations are associated with business cycles, which are obviously not associated with diet. The third theory under biological theories of fertility is biological theories which have been propounded by Spencer and Jenny. In 1880, Herbert Spencer postulated that fertility increases in response to the progress of society, and that in fact is great agency of mankind's advancement. He, however, went on to add that when population growth becomes excessive and threatens the very existence of the human species, innovation steps in and resolves all these difficulties. The last theory which is under the biological theories of fertility is the cyclical theory. This was propounded by an Italian biologist, Corrado, stated that population tends to follow an evolution which is similar to that of life cycle of the individual, passing through the successive stages of development, maturation and involution. The second group of theories, which are called as the socio-cultural theories of fertility, it has three theories. One is social capillarity, second is theory of diffusion or cultural lag, and the third one is theory of change and response. Social and cultural theories of fertility, under which the first one, social capillarity, this was actually propounded by Arsène Dumont, a French philosopher, in 1890. He says that one has an urge to rise in the social scale. The inevitable physical law of nature, which says that the force of capillarity. What does it talks about? That is, if a liquid in a narrow tube has an advantage over the liquid in the wide tube, in the sense that it can rise higher. Similarly, a person least burdened with unnecessary burdens, that is, a person with a small family, will rise further in the social scale. According to Dumont, this force of capillarity affects fertility. This actually he has been observed in the French society, where it was the period when many couples in the France who really wanted to raise in the social status, hence they tried to limit their families. Observation of these couples in the France made the French philosopher to propound this theory. The credit of this theory is that it has emphasized the need for investigating individual attitudes in their social context in order to determine national population trends. However, even though this theory has been largely appreciated, but this also has subjected to certain criticism. The criticism is that this theory is not backed by sound statistical proof. The second theory is the theory of diffusion or cultural lag. The theory of diffusion or cultural lag explains how the concept of birth control spread over the world. In countries where fertility has been declining, attitudes and practices conducive to diminishing fertility have adopted first by the better educated, wealthier and socially more favored groups of the city population and transmitted in the course of time to intermediate and lower status groups and to the rural areas. In this theory, there have been two assumptions. The first assumption is that birth control and especially contraception has been a recent development and has been lately introduced in human culture. The time lag and a trickle down in the spreading of ideas about birth control and its practice. Basically, here the scholar says that the time lag is a lag where whenever there's a new innovation comes into it, that new innovation, when it has to spread over a larger geographical area, it takes certain time. And then trickle down effect is what? Understanding the information into it doesn't directly come from one category to another category, but it spreads over a period of various categories of groups and it slightly trickles down. That is what he tried to propose. But this theory is also subjected to criticism. One of the criticism is that Carlson questioned in 1966 the general belief that birth control was an innovation or its practice was not widespread, an adjustment of old style ideas to new style ideals. The second criticism was made by Horton in 1970. He did not agree that urban areas are diffusion centers because he has observed that the fertility declines at Stockholm and another 8 rural areas had simultaneously happened. Then the theory of diffusion or cultural lag is also criticized on the ground that it explains how the birth rates declined in the Western world rather than why they have declined. The last theory which falls under the social and cultural theories of fertility is theory of change and response. This is propounded by Kingsley Davis in 1963. He said that there are two factors which are involved in theory and change. One is the stimulating factors, which he called it as stimulus. Due to the economic development, there has been sustained drop in mortality and that resulted in increased natural growth. So with this increase in natural growth, he said that there is a response in the society. That response is from curtailment in the rate of population growth by increasing the age at marriage, resorting to the contraception and abortion and even migrating outward. What is the connecting link in it? The connecting link is fear of loss of status achieved through rising prosperity, which would result if the high rates of population growth continued. Hence, there is something called multiphasic response. This multiphasic response, that is an attitude to get ahead and appear respectable. For this, Kingsley Davis gave the examples of Ireland and Japan. Ireland is from Europe and Japan is from the Asian countries, and he feels that in both the countries, when there is a growth, the economic development, then there is a multiphasic response has emerged. And this theory of change and response and theory of social capillarity, when we look closely into it, they have certain similarities. In both the theories, rise in the social scale and children acting as barriers has been discussed by both the propounders. What is the merits of these theories? The theory is more comprehensive and sophisticated. And secondly, that the Davis has documented the multiphasic response by giving the actual experiences of two countries. As I have already said, it's the Ireland and the Japan. This approach is attractive and compliments Davies for having substantiated the mechanical responses to falling mortality by resorting to the sociological analysis. But this theory is also subjected to criticism. One of the main points in the criticism is that some historical facts do not fit in well with this theory. Some countries in the Europe are known to have experienced a decline in fertility prior to the declines in mortality. This weakens the theory of change and response. It is questioned that the propriety of taking mortality declines as the starting point for the change and response theory. This theory cannot be applied to the situations in the developing countries, where large-scale poverty exists, when population growth is not accompanied by economic development, as was the case in Northwest Europe and Japan, and where the ambition and aspirations to raise in the social scale are not as evident. Now let's talk about the economic theories of fertility. Under the economic theories of fertility, the two theories which I am going to discuss now is the Lebestin's theory and Becker's model, and this in turn led to the two schools of thought on economics of fertility. So the first theory is Lebestin's theory. Harvey Lebestin in 1957, he has written a paper called Economic Backwardness and Economic Growth. One of the assumptions in this is that people make rough calculations regarding the utilities and disutilities of children and then decide on number of children they would like to have. According to Lebestin, there are three types of utilities. The utility of the child as a consumption good, that is, the child is here considered as a source of personal pleasure to the parents. The second one is that the utility of the child as a productive unit, that is, the child, it is expected, would enter the labor force at some point of time and contribute to the family income. The third utility is the utility of the child as a source of security in the old age of the parents, or even otherwise. Two types of costs are involved in it. The first cost is the direct cost, in the sense of conventional current expenses of bringing up a child, according to the conventional standards, until the child becomes self-supporting. And the other cost is the indirect cost, that is, which includes opportunities foregone due to the appearance of an additional child, such as mother's inability to work, inability to purchase a television set or a motor car, etc. Lebestin mentions that three changes occur during the course of economic development, which in turn affects the utilities and costs of an additional child. One is the income effect, the second is the survival effect, the third is the occupational distribution effects. Among the three effects, income effect is the most important. If you look at the graph, you would see that if the per capita income of the family as it increases, and then we try to look into the utility or the cost of the child, or it is like attributable to the child of a given birth order if he has been taken on the y-axis and per capita income on the x-axis, the direct or the indirect cost will continue to raise as the income rises, whereas the consumption utility, utility as a source of old age security, utility as a productive agent, these are the three utilities of having a child. Of these three utilities, we see that irrespective of the per capita income of a family, the consumption utility remains constant, whereas utility as a source of old age security or a security in any sense, or utility as a productive age, it tend to diminish as the per capita income of the family increases. So, as the income increases, a parents looking towards the child as a source of security or a productive agent no more persists, that diminishes, whereas consumption continues at a same level. So this is the theory which actually he propounded on it. This can be very well depicted in the graph which has been presented over here. Then Becker model, which also led to two schools of thought on economics of fertility. Becker in 1960, he has put forward his economic theory of fertility in an economic analysis of fertility, where he says that children to be the same as household commodities, and argued that household choice of fertility is made in the same manner as in the case of purchase of durable goods. Becker's argument rested on two postulates of traditional economics. The first one is the representative household behaves rationally on the basis of unchanging tastes. Prices of commodities desired by the representative household are unaffected by the household consumption decision is the second one. Becker's argument was that if knowledge of the birth control methods was widespread, fertility would be directly related to the income of the parents. Richard Easterlin challenged Becker's theory in 1966, and since then, two rival schools of economics of fertility have emerged, one headed by Gary Becker and the other Richard Easterlin. Richard Easterlin pointed out that tastes cannot be taken as immutable facts because tastes are never, constant. It changes with time. It can be irreversible. Whereas Easterlin has accepted Becker's second assumption, that is, price of commodities desired by a representative household are unaffected by the household's consumption decisions. Looking at this Becker's theory, Judith Blake has criticized. She criticized saying that Becker's attitude of viewing fertility performance simply as economic behavior. She pointed out that in his attempt to postulate an independent economic theory of fertility, he has ignored well-known sociological determinants of reproductive behavior. There are similarities. This theory, though in some ways similar to Lebensstein theory, differed from it in some important respects. Becker applied the micro-consumption theory to fertility. This micro-consumption theory is totally the credit of the Becker. Now, let us discuss on the last component of socio-economic theories, the fourth category of the fertility theories. Under this, I will be discussing on the most well-known theory of intergenerational wealth flow. This was propounded by Caldwell. In a society, the fertility is high if children are economically useful to parents and low if children are economically not beneficial to parents. Whether the children are economically beneficial to parents is determined by social conditions, mainly the direction of the intergenerational flow of wealth. Here Caldwell means wealth is, it can be in terms of goods and services. Children are useful to parents in several ways in primitive and traditional societies. The usefulness is like there is a situation gained to the head of the household when the number of children is large. The large household size, the greater the power of the head. Children work in the household and on the farm and produce goods. They also do small jobs, such as bringing fuel and water, carrying goods and messages, sweeping, looking after younger siblings, caring for the animals, etc. Adult children assist their parents by working in the farms as laborers. Adult children are of great help in the family ceremonies, such as marriages, funerals, ceremonies connected with the births in the household. They also contribute to community festivals. The grown-up children take care of the aged parents. And lastly, parents can invest in the training and education of the children so as to increase the ability of the children to make returns. In primitive societies, the net flow of wealth is from the children to parents, and hence, fertility is economically rational. When the children of this net flow of wealth changes, that is, when the flow of wealth is from parents to children, low fertility becomes economically rational. The reverse flow of wealth in many developing countries has already started, the two aspects of modernization, namely mass education and mass communication, can give impetus to this ongoing process. Hence, the Caldwell points out that family nucleation and reversal of intergenerational wealth flow are likely to occur in the developing world in a big way during the next half century. And these processes will bring down the birth rates and also slow down population growth. Thank you.